Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Vision of Veritas here. So, last night I watched the debate, Oz versus Fetterman. I don't know if any of you got a chance to do that, but the only word that I can think to use to describe what I witnessed and what a lot of people witnessed was a train wreck. And it's not just because of Fetterman's inability to answer and comprehend questions. I also really didn't like the fact that Oz is a lukewarm Republican, just like Pat Toomey. The unfortunate part of this is Oz has the makings of a rhino, and collectively we have to stop that. That's a huge problem that is absolutely not what our nation needs. But of the two choices, I mean, it's obvious who I do support, and there's a lot of valid reasons for that. Now, I actually am going to go through the whole debate here. Yes, it is going to be long, but I think it's really important that we do that. I want to preface this by stating my commentary will have absolutely nothing to do with the effects and the aftermath displayed with regards to Fetterman's stroke. On a purely human level, it's very unfortunate what happened to him. On a policy level, his policies are just as bad now as they were prior to his stroke. So my commentary will have nothing whatsoever to do with his stroke. Now, when we watch this here, I truly believe that Fetterman as a whole doesn't know the answers to some of these questions. The reason why I'm saying this is because you can tell when he gets a little flustered and then it's almost like a default. He defaults to kind of throwing a cheap shot out at his opponent, Oz. And usually it's a personal attack. Now, as far as political debates go, I'm all for attacking your opponent as long as it's about the politics of the opponent. That's what these debates are for. But I have a problem with the cheap shots because you don't know the answer to the question or you simply don't understand the question. So you default to an ad hominem answer. And it doesn't do anybody good. It makes you look like a moron.
Another big issue for voters is abortion. Mr. Oz, we will begin with you. You say that you're pro-life, but you do support abortion exceptions in the cases of rape, incest, and to protect the life of the mother. Aside from those three exceptions, should abortion be banned in America? 60 seconds.
There should not be involvement from the federal government in how states decide their abortion decisions. As a physician, I've been in the room when there's some difficult conversations happening. I don't want the federal government involved with that at all. I want women, doctors, local political leaders, letting the democracy that's always allowed our nation to thrive to put the best ideas forward so states can decide for themselves. Contrast that with my opponent, John Fetterman, who on this debate stage said that he would demand federally mandated rules for all states they'd have to follow that would allow abortion at 38 weeks on the delivery table, and he would force it to be subsidized by taxpayers across the country no matter what their personal beliefs are. That's radical. That's extreme. That is out of touch with what the average voter in Pennsylvania believes is appropriate. Now, ironically, John Fetterman's been running ads on this topic, dishonest ads. I need to correct the record. They were so bad, they got pulled off television stations. Even on this station, he was running dishonest ads that I had pulled off. I haven't had a single ad pulled down. My ads tell the truth. John Fetterman's are a fiction of his imagination.
All right, I'm going to let Mr. Fetterman respond specifically about the ads being pulled off the air, and then we will return to you, Mr. Oz. Mr. Fetterman.
Yeah, I want to look into the face of every woman in Pennsylvania. You know, if you believe that the choice of your reproductive freedom belongs with Dr. Oz, then you have a choice. But if you believe that the choice for abortion belongs between you and your doctor, that's what I fight for. Roe V Wade, for me, should be the law. He celebrated when Roe V Wade went down, and my campaign would fight for Roe V Wade, and if given the opportunity, to codify it into law.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman. Going back to you, I want to circle back to something that you said, Mr. Oz. You mentioned the decision to regulate abortion should be something that is left up to the states. Now, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has introduced a federal bill to ban abortion after 15 weeks. I know that you've been asked about this question before. If the vote were held today, you were elected senator, you're on the Senate floor, the clerk calls you, there's a roll call vote. Are you a yay or a nay? How would you vote on the Lindsey Graham bill? You have 30 seconds.
Lisa, I don't even need 30 seconds. I'll give you a bigger answer. I am not going to support federal rules that block the ability of states to do what they wish to do. The abortion decision should be left up to states, and specifically when John Fetterman...
You roll with Doug Mastriano.
John, when I'm done,
John,
you'll have your turn, John.
One moment, Mr. Fetterman. Continue, Mr.
I've been
Oz.
very clear on my desire as a physician not to interfere with how states decide. So when John purposely, knowingly misrepresents that to women, he scares them. He's purposely trying to alarm them, and the fear-mongering isn't working. Running tens of millions of dollars of ads claiming that I'm against all abortions when he knows that's not right, claiming that I'm going to be strict with Pennsylvania when he knows that's not honest. I can't be any clearer that I've been on the stage today. John Fetterman, if you just hear that one story today, I'd be really happy, but I know you're not going to, because you're going to go right back to telling the fables that you believe.
Mr. Oz, I want a 15-second clarification. You are saying that you would leave it up to the states, that the federal government does not have a role here. So are you saying you would not vote for the Lindsey Graham bill?
Any bill that violates what I said, which is the federal government interfering with the state rule on abortion, I would vote against. What I feel strongly about is that women in Pennsylvania understand what I'm saying and not believe that someone who's taken an extreme position like John Fetterman represents them, because most women do not believe that we should, at a federal level, codify 38 weeks of permission to have an abortion and have taxpayers pay for it.
So a yes or no on the Lindsey Graham bill?
I think I've answered this very, very clearly 3 times, Lisa.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Oz. Turning to you, Mr. Fetterman, you have frequently stated your belief that abortion should be safe and legal. Do you support any limits on when a woman can have an abortion? Please explain in 60 seconds.
You know, what I support on Roe V Wade. That was the law of the land for 50 years. He celebrated when it fell down, and I would fight to reestablish on Roe v. Wade. That's what I run on. That's what I believe. And I've always believed that the choice belongs women and their doctors. And he believes that the choice should be with him or Republican legislators all across this nation.
All right.
I'm sorry, I must correct that. Once again, he's misrepresented what I've said, but he also said something very dishonest. On this debate stage, he said very specifically in his primary debate, when he was still debating, that he would support 38 weeks of mandated rules by the federal government that would prevent any state from blocking it. So that's not Roe versus Wade.
That's not true. I support Roe v. Wade. That's the simple.
John, you said specifically you would support a federal rule on 38 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's important that John at least acknowledge that he's not honest here, because you said the opposite on TV.
Mr. Oz, we must continue on.
Is it just me, or does Fetterman have a drone-like chant of Roe v. Wade, Roe v. Wade? It's almost as though he's listened to what he's supposed to say over and over and over, and he just mimicked how he's been hearing it this entire time. It kind of makes you wonder if these ideas are even from him. Alright, so aside the fact that Fetterman can't answer the question about ads being pulled down because of their dishonesty, for ads to actually be pulled down because of their dishonest nature, that's actually a big deal. That doesn't happen too often. The ads really have to be dishonest for that to happen. And there has to be a lot of evidence and proof to prove the dishonesty of the ads, because especially if it's a conservative candidate saying it about a Democrat candidate. That does not happen too often. In fact, I don't really ever recall it happening. Maybe it's because I haven't been paying attention like this, but I don't really remember that ever happening before. Anyhow, that's kind of beside the point. The issue here is in regards to abortion, and because this is a topic where if your views don't align with the Democrat views on abortion, 9 chances out of 10, unless you phrase it extremely carefully, any video that you put up on YouTube, and that's where this is, gets taken down and it's never going to be able to be put back up. So I'm not going to spend too long on this, and I'm going to tread very lightly on it. But the overturning of Roe v. Wade did not get rid of abortions in America. It simply shipped them back off to the states where they should be, where they historically were. You know, the left loves to peddle that the decision of an abortion was always a constitutional right when it's nowhere in the Constitution. Even Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that the foundation with which Roe v. Wade was based upon was incredibly shaky. She herself even said that it would be torn down at some point in time, and sure enough it was. There's absolutely no constitutional basis for it at the federal level, and there's certainly no constitutional basis to make your federal tax dollars pay for someone else's personal choice. What this is doing essentially is this is absolving women of poor decisions. You have Oz here that is firm on his belief, firm on his stance that he will support certain exceptions, but he does have a problem with a week before the child is completely mature. And you know what? I don't see any problem with that. I mean, to me, my personal belief, the thought of that is just unconscionable, especially at 38 weeks. You know, this brings out a problem that us conservatives have. A lot of us have an all or nothing mentality, and that's not the way to go about things. That is where Democrats completely outshine us. They are willing to take things long, take it slow, taking certain chips out of actual constitutional rights over a long period of time, to the point where you don't even realize it's happening until it's all said and done. There's a reason why this question was phrased the way it was, and specifically phrased to a conservative the way it was. The moderators are trying to get the conservative, and the reason why I'm saying conservative, not specifically Oz, is because this is the way these questions are phrased to all conservatives. They're trying to get the conservative, whoever is running on the conservative platform, they're trying to get them to say that all abortions should be banned, and they're trying to pin that on religious reasons. Every host, every TV station, everywhere tries to do that, so the media has something to run with. So they have something to talk about for months and months to come until the election comes and goes. But I think us conservatives, those who are very, very staunch conservatives, those who do believe that there should be absolutely no exceptions whatsoever for abortion, I do think we need to give a little on here. And the reason is this: at the very minimum, if you put exceptions for rape, if you put exceptions for the health of the mother, which I know I'm going to catch flack for this, I really don't have a problem with, those exceptions yield less than 3% of all abortions. Yes, less than 3% of all abortions. That means you have a net gain of millions of children born. Millions. Are you willing to stand so hardlined on your belief that it should be all or nothing when you could have a net gain of millions of children by just agreeing to a small exception? You're not compromising your beliefs. You're actually saving lives. Anyhow, I'm not going to spend any more time with regards to abortion. This is one of those really, really touchy subjects. So let's just move on to the next question here.
Mr. Fetterman, turning to you, we have a follow-up question. Would you support allocating federal funds to transport women who live in states where abortion is banned to states where they can get one, and why? 30 seconds.
I would. I would, because I believe abortion rights is a universal right for all women in America. I believe that abortion is health care, and I believe that that is a choice that belongs with each woman and their doctor.
This was actually a question I wasn't even expecting. I didn't even realize it was a thing, but using federal funds to shuttle women around to kill their unborn children? Yeah, I don't think so. You made your choice. Whether or not you now agree with the choice that you make or like the choice that you make, that choice is now said and done. Why should my federal tax dollars be used to shuttle you around so you can deal with what you now consider a problem, which was solely of your creation? And yes, I know it takes two to tango, but it is solely of your creation. There are dozens of forms of birth control. In the year 2022 in the United States, there is no child born without the expressed consent, will, and intent of the would-be mother. There are plenty of preventative measures, and if said preventative measures fail, you deal with the consequences. But you're not going to force me to pay for your dealing with the consequences in the way that you want to deal with them. That's not my problem. If you stuck around and listened to this entire thing, I cannot say how appreciative I am of you. For doing so. You didn't have to do that. Please listen to it, share it to your friends, take it to heart. If you've learned anything from this, please like, share, and subscribe. Like I said earlier, please send this to your friends. I need all the help I can get with expanding this channel, and that's what I would truly love to do, but I can't do it without you. So, once again, at the risk of sounding like a parrot, please like, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for sticking around. Have a good day, and take care.